So we'll begin the Human Services Committee meeting for August 16th, 2021. And committee members that we have, Commissioner Meisner is remote, and we have Commissioner West with us and me. So I guess we have a quorum, which is good. We can actually vote. So we'll begin with calling the meeting to order, and then public comments. And do we have any public comments today? Going once, going twice, okay. We have a couple consent agenda items. If there's any questions on those, we'll hear those now. Otherwise, we'll move to the regular agenda. No questions? All right, so let's get right to social services. And Jerry, you're on deck. Oh, Commissioner Meisner.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Mr. Chair. I think we have to make a motion and then vote on the consent agenda. So I make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Okay, motion by Commissioner Meisner, second by West. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
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 And that passes. Thank you, Commissioner Meisner, for keeping me in line. All right, now we'll go to the regular agenda. Social services, action number 1, Jerry Peterson.
All right, Mr. Chair, Commissioners, thank you. I have a few things here to just talk to you about today. This first one is I'm looking for approval for the resolution regarding this grant and these funds. We received FHPAP, or Families Homeless and Prevention Assistance Grant. We receive that every 2 years. We have a whole process we go through. That process can take almost a year to get through it, et cetera. So we're moving into the next biennium, and we pass, these dollars come to the county, but we work in close partnership with a lot of other providers through our organization that Heading Home Anoka, and that helps us around some of these issues. And these dollars have generally gone through to a couple, 2 or 3 different providers over the years. Right now, this last biennium, Salvation Army and YMCA North. For this last biennium for 2019 and 2021, we had received about $805,709. For this next biennium, we actually, in going through the process, which I'm not going into the weeds on that, but going through that process, we ended up asking for about $1,097,000. Geez, I'm having a hard time talking until I had a lot. I was just sharing I had a long weekend, so I apologize. So over $1 million, and that was our ask of the entity that gives us the funding. They funded us, and we just had received a notice about that for $794,100 for 2021 to 2023. That's about a 1% reduction. They saw it as insignificant. We saw it as significant. So it's always a bummer when we get a little less money. And we had actually, the group had actually, with the providers around this homelessness issue, had hoped to move into more funding for around homeless outreach, and had RFP'd out to some different providers. We're not going to be able to do that. Instead, back off, fund the providers that we have for the existing services, slightly little bit of bump in the YMCA just to help with that homeless youth stuff, and then move on from there and try again 2 years from now. So all I'm asking for is approval, and it's through a resolution process. The entity that funds us asks for it in a resolution form.
Moved by Commissioner West. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Meisner. Discussion. Commissioner Meisner.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just commentary. So, Jerry, yes, I am personally bummed about the 1% decrease, and you said so that does not enable you to have any street outreach because of that, correct?
Mr. Chair, Commissioner, we'll still be able to do some things through the YMCA of the North, at which they did a little bit before, but there had been an effort through the RFP process to identify another provider that could do more targeted things around the streets, so won't be able to do that.
Right.
It was felt to keep our current funding and the providers what they are doing and utilize that, so.
Yeah, that is a bummer. I mean, the street outreach, I know that I've talked to you about that, is a much needed area that we need to increase our services. And then just for my own edification, now this is the main grant too, right? In terms of the largest funding mechanism for heading home. And I also want to, if I'm remembering correctly, if that's true, then this actually has increased quite a bit over the last several years in terms of the amounts that we're getting. I want to say almost twice as much now compares to, I want to say 5 years ago, something like that. But I just wanted to note that.
Mr. Chair, Commissioner, yeah, we've always received significant funding, and I'd have to go back and double check, but I remember like being funded for $500,000 and then increasing over there was a biennium where we didn't receive funding. And so there's also that in our history, but since then it had been gradually ticking up, and we're excited about that, so.
Okay. Any other questions, discussion? If not, all in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
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 And opposed, and that motion carries. Next item on the agenda is 1.1, and it's informational.
Yep, Mr. Chair, Commissioners, this is an item that as part of this process, whenever we mess with our FTE and do something different, it goes through our employee relations area. And so there's a submission of an application or request, and then which will actually be coming through the next management committee, and then we come here as an informational item. And this is to increase some office support assistant staff from 0.75 to a full-time person. We've tried since last year, trying to fill that part-time position, and we've done it 2 or 3 times, posted it. We actually had a person for a week, then they left, and I am not the expert on the economy or anything, but you know, there's just a broad market out there for people to find things. So anyway, one thought from ER was that if I had the funding, which I do, was to increase it to full-time and see if we can be more successful. And the importance for us in this is that this position is crucial for the workflow around our licensing effort. And in the write-up, you see that not only do we have the ongoing weekly issue of getting kin and relative placements for our child side of our business and the turnover and what's all involved in identifying folks, getting them licensed so that they can take these children. But then also on the adult side, we've just had a huge uptake because of the waiver growth around some of the residential or corporate type of licensing and the application efforts there. So, so it's needed, and we think this will help at least plug a little hole for us.
All right, very good. Any questions on this? Commissioner Meisner.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So Jerry, my question really is, after reading this, I presume that a big driver of why this is being restructured is in fact because I believe it pays more. Because you had mentioned there's been 3 attempts and just you guys weren't having any success in acquiring any new people.
Mr. Chair, Commissioner, it won't, the actual dollar amount per hour, we do have some, just in our normal business, we do have some flexibility to request if specific pay becomes an issue. But this is more about people wanting full-time work versus the part-time, and that this type of position, it seems that will assist in this is through a consult with ER. So I couldn't totally verify that it's going to pay more by hour, but overall it would, because it's 0.75 to 1 FTE.
And then obviously plus benefits if it's switching from part-time to full-time.
Yes.
Perfect. Thank you.
Okay, if no more questions on that item, we'll move to number 2.1, which is an action item of behavioral health to learn about a new app.
Mr. Chair, Commissioners, so the action is to approve get approval for us to accept the funding from the Department of Human Services, but then also contract with Pathfinders. So in 2021 legislation process, we had Pathfinders and some legislatures that approached Anoka County, asked us to participate in this effort. We saw it as a good opportunity to try some different things out. It also allowed through this effort, not only working around this provider's application and services around the chemical health population, but also in identifying the county is going to let us bring a population, what we used to call our Rule 25 funded individuals, it's now called something different. It's a chemical health assessment and it's a behavioral health fund, and man, I'll be looking forward to the day I don't have to remember all those changes that are happening so often. But that it's going to allow us to bring a population that is a little more economically challenged, but also just some other life barriers. So we're bringing that population through this effort. But through that, they're going to be providing us some funding for a position, which I'm not seeking approval here because of the process of going through management and ER and stuff, but you will be seeing that connected here. So yeah, their application, mobile application, is going to allow them to do some resources and support, immediate connection for these individuals that they're working with. But overall, there's some excitement, I think, in terms of we like this kind of stuff and the collaboration, the community partnership. It's tying not only us with this provider, a chemical health support provider, but also with our North Metro Roundtable, which I think most of you are familiar with, and the significance around them and that communication and working with individuals with chemical health. So Alina gets involved in there, and some of the providers that are connected to them. So I think overall it's going to be it'll be a fun pilot. There's been a couple hiccups in terms of getting the grant funding. Turns out that DHS has to receive approval from SAMHSA in order to pass the funding through. Nobody expects that to be an issue, but it is a process. So we're moving this forward, seeking approval. Obviously, we won't spend any money until we know that we're for sure we're getting the money, but then allows us to keep up and moving things forward.
I'll move it.
Motion by Commissioner West, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Meisner, discussion. Commissioner Meisner.
Thank you. Just commentary. I will be very curious to see the results of this.
So I have one question. With the dollars that will be appropriated to this, is there an estimate of how many people you're hoping to utilize this app, this program?
Sure. On our side of it, so if I know I was talking fast there, but you know, really kind of two populations. There's going to be the Pathfinder group of clients that they're working with providers like a Nystrom who does chemical health or somebody. I don't want to pre-identify them too much, but that's who's been talked about. And then our population, which is that Rule 25 population, we're looking at a number about, for us, we're looking at a number between 50 and it would be great if we got 100, but our access to those individuals are diminishing as SUD reform comes through. So, but we're looking at a population for us around 50 to 75, I think. So we're hoping to serve. And for them, they had it, and I didn't write that down. I apologize. I can get that number for you. Pathfinder's thrown out a number, and I don't have it in front of me right now, but they have, you know, they're fairly unlimited. It's, for them, it's just going to be a matter of how many people they can get in their door. So.
Okay, and this is not a broad implementation yet. It looks like it's kind of a pilot program, and then data will be collected and assessed, and then to see whether or not this is something to blow up and make bigger or get rid of.
Right, that is one piece of it, that some of the grant dollars, I didn't go through everything on here, but some of the grant dollars are going to be for a contract with an entity that will do an evaluation. And then Anoka County, and that's why they have the money kind of passing through us, we have some legislative responsibility to do a report. We'll certainly be doing that in partnership with Pathfinders, et cetera, but coming forward with a report on that.
Okay, so it seems a little pricey on the front end, but it is a pilot, so that probably has additional expense built in to do these assessments, and you know, it's kind of padded a little bit anyway, so you have enough money to at least get it done. So I imagine there'd be some efficiencies as time goes on if it's adopted. Yeah, okay. All right, any other questions? All right, hearing none, all in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
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 Those
And then,
opposed? Oh. Yeah,
I'm sorry, Mr. Chair, are we voting on actual 2 items or just the
no,
Pathfinder?
just item 2A, the action for the Pathfinder companion. Pilot.
Okay, thank you.
All right, and so that motion carries. Next, we'll move to, thanks, Jerry.
Yep.
We'll move to Public Health and Environmental Services, and we have one action item there.
Yes, good afternoon, Mr. Chair and Commissioners. I have an item here. One item I also, just to note, I have Allison Peterson here, the manager of Recycling Resource Solutions, to answer any questions if I'm not able to fully assist. So this afternoon, I'm requesting authorization to enter into contract C0008719 with Republic Services for garbage recycling and organic collection services at county-owned and operated facilities for $130,752.29. And since 1993, all county-owned facilities have gone towards one vendor for the efforts of garbage, recycling, and consolidated waste. The current contract is going to expire in December, and so following our basic and customary process, we went out and looked at an RFP to determine who would be doing the contract starting in January of 2022. So basically, Republic Services came back with the lowest quote, and in addition, is going to offer some efficiencies around invoicing, service changes, and report generations, which really is around having a portal that we can utilize to get some more data regards to the amount of recycling components that are coming from the county and what's coming out of our location. So, so that's the request. Looking for approval for that. So if there's any questions?
Yeah, any questions? All right, thank you.
I'll move it.
It is moved by Commissioner West. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Meisner. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
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 Those opposed? And that motion carries. Thank you. Next, we have community corrections, just an informational item.
Mr. Chair, members of the committee, this is a informational item regarding position restructure. So this is to keep you guys apprised as to what's being requested. We have not had in corrections a correct planner position. The planner position is a vital position as it assists the department as a whole to really stay on track in a number of areas. And so we're taking advantage of an opportunity to transfer some funds from another department within Human Services and a position as well in order to create a restructured planner position within corrections. This is a great opportunity. I've listed some purposes within it. One is to help us with our auditing, well-being checks, audits, as well as pre-audits. These are things that just kind of take those things out of the hands of the specific department managers and kind of move them to a third party, so to speak, within the department, which should improve quality control, although we're doing okay at those areas presently, but they're important areas for us to manage. Also, just comprehensive strategies, project management. We're just completing the long project for camera controls within for juvenile facilities, and the county did a CIP for project management regarding that particular project. I think that if we would have had a planner, that would have been a project we probably could have done in-house as well. So I see some cost savings as well. So that's the grade 13 corrections planner restructure proposal. The grade 10 corrections service officer is combining 2 part-time regular grade 10 positions into 1 full-time. So we have a 0.5 and a 0.6 FTE, 2 different position control numbers. And what we're doing is, as they are currently vacant, we would like to consolidate them into 1 FTE. This will really help us with retention. These positions were created as part-time during our temporary to regular conversion process. Corrections used to have a fair number of temporary employees, and so these folks were converted at that time to regular employees and preferred part-time hours. Now, since the positions are vacant, it's hard to fill part-time work, and oftentimes the part-time work feeds your full-time employment. And so a lot of times we don't get the best candidates when we hire that way. So by combining this, we feel that we're going to enhance our ability to hire more effectively, give additional opportunities for current employees to rotate in positions as well. So that helps our retention rate. And it will also be mostly cost neutral. So because they're combined and already a grade 10 position, we're just kind of making them one. They will still do the same activities between juvenile delinquency diversion hearings and probation field contacts. So those are the 2 restructure requests that we have for our information.
Okay, sounds good. Are there any questions? Commissioner Meiser.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Yeah, Dylan, for the combining the 2 part-time, because I know that back in the day you had quite a few temp positions, as you said, and then then the conversion happened. This must be some of the last positions then that are going from temp to permanent, is my question.
Yeah, Mr. Chair, Commissioner Meiser, these are already permanent. They were converted in 2018, but because the temporary employees who filled them preferred the part-time hours, we decided to allow them to remain part-time. There's some cost savings on benefits to the county, but as a result now of both of those 2 employees moving on, we would hire them as regular employees, but part-time. There's just not a high pool of people that really want part-time positions without benefits. And so by combining them, I think we just improve our serve.
Thank you, because I was definitely misreading that or misunderstanding that. And then I want to say, so then you don't have any temp positions at all in your area anymore, right?
Mr. Chair, Commissioner Meiser, we still have some temporary positions. Most of them are fill-in slots out at the juvenile center or in facilities. We have very few compared to what we did. So we have a capped amount that we worked out with employee relations. And so we hire those. When we do get good temps, they turn into candidates for these types of positions. And so we've already trained them. They just rotate right into a regular hired position, and then they can go through, in some ways, our ability to promote them over time as well. So hopefully, we're still using some temps, but where we did have, I think, upwards of 125, we probably are down to 25. And so that would be about where we're at.
Thank you.
Okay, any other questions? All right, thank you. Next, we'll move on to item 5, economic assistance, and we've got a couple of informational items there.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chair and Commissioners. August is Child Support Awareness Month, so I have invited Allison Lubin here to introduce herself and speak a little bit about the Child Support Program in Anoka County, and she has joined us by WebEx.
Hello, Mr. Chair and Commissioners. I'm Allison Lubin. I'm the Program Manager for Child Support Program. Thank you for the opportunity to share a few highlights about our program during August Child Support Awareness Month. Minnesota serviced 551,021 parents and children during the federal fiscal year of 2020, and our hardworking child support workers in Anoka County serviced 11,058 of those open cases that include those parents and children. Our Anoka County Child Support Program collected over $41 million in child support and this helps Minnesota as a state continuously rank as one of the top 3 states in the nation in collecting monthly and overdue support. In addition to collecting dollars, our employees also establish paternity and establish and modify court orders. Thank you for the opportunity this afternoon to recognize the important role child support plays in the families that we serve here in Anoka County.
All right, thank you. Are there any questions? Okay, well, hearing none, then we'll move to estate recoveries.
Mr. Chair and Commissioners, Kelly Tinner is the Adult Program Manager for Economic Assistance, and she's also joined us by WebEx to talk about the state recovery outcomes for the fiscal year 2021.
Mr. Chair and Commissioners, my name is Kelly Tinner. I'm the Adult Programs Manager for Economic Assistance. Thanks for letting me take the time today to share some informational updates regarding Anoka County estate recoveries. Estate recoveries involve collections from assets of some people who are deceased who have previously been active on different subsets of medical assistance. Recoveries can include assets and accounts, as well as real property. And I just wanted to highlight this process, which does involve multiple departments, as our recovery numbers for the 2021 fiscal year are the highest they've been for at least the last 5 years. Total Anoka County recoveries recorded for the 2021 fiscal year totaled around $3 million. In 2020, the total recorded recoveries were approximately $1 million. Different subsets of MA programs results in different percentages for county incentives, and the total county incentives for the fiscal year 2021 totaled around $847,000. In 2020, the county incentives were around $270,000. And there is a detailed chart in the write-up today outlining total recoveries, total incentives for the last 4 years, if you're interested in those details. Departments involved in the estate recovery task processing are multiple. It includes accounting, county attorney's office, economic assistance, IT, property records and taxation, and social services. Because there are so many different departments involved in that work, we did move forward with an estate recovery continuous improvement project earlier this year, with the goal to improve our processes and create efficiencies both for our customers and for our employees. And I just wanted to share just a handful of outcomes from that project. One is transitioning alternative care recoveries from social services to economic assistance. That became effective August 1st. We're formalizing a credit card payment option for our customers, enhancing the electronic record keeping through our probate database as well as OnBase, developing clear lines of communications between departments, standardizing processes, developing paper processes, and we made some updates to our public-facing website. So thanks again for taking the time to hear this information today, and I would be happy to try and answer any questions that you have.
Okay, sure. Are there any questions? Commissioner Meisner.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Yeah, thank you, Kelly. And so the last list that you talked about, like the credit card option and some of these other implementations, is that the reason why is a huge jump for the total recoveries, or is it just what we were able to do?
Mr. Chair and Commissioners, I like to credit our hardworking staff and our multiple departments for their dedication and hard work, but there are other factors in play. Obviously, a lot has happened with COVID. It may be increased deaths. Although Anoka County, just glancing at our death match reports, we didn't see a huge jump in the last year. But with some consult with DHS, they think it may be that combined with the real estate, because houses are selling for a lot more in the last year than historically they have. So I wouldn't say that the changes from the estate recovery continuous improvement project this year has a reflection on the 2021 fiscal outcomes.
Thank you.
Okay, any other questions? So I have one. So this number obviously fluctuates from year to year. And so, and it's for, you know, I guess replenishment of medical assistance and many other things that are dollars going out, and these are there to replenish. My question is, the balance, I guess, is do the medical assistance dollars from these recoveries exceed the amount recovered, or does the amount recovered exceed the amount of expense? I mean, if that's known.
Mr. Chair and Commissioners. I would say, you know, there are certain subsets that we do have to attempt recovery on, and that those can include alternative care, long-term services and support, certain general MA. And it all depends on the time they were on those certain programs. And there's an older program, GAMC, which we no longer implement. It would depend on the assets that the deceased person has. So whatever's in their accounts for liquid assets or their real estate. So we may spend out more on MA than they have that we're able to recover. It all depends on what assets they have.
Okay,
If that makes
and that's
sense.
on a per individual basis, but I'm just wondering, you know, annually, you know, because I'm sure there's some years where there's extra dollars and there's some years where there's not enough dollars. Question I'd have is, in those years where there's like the year, I don't know, is $3,200,000, would that be considered a year where it took care of all the MA expenses or not?
Mr. Chair.
So basically, it never really covers, no matter how much we recover. Okay. And then, so then those expenses are subsidized by what entity? Just taxpayers, I know, but which one specifically?
Mr. Chair and Commissioners, a lot of our MA programs are federally funded.
Okay, so it's federal dollars that are making up the difference of what's not recovered. Okay, thank you. Any other questions? And if not, thanks for the information and the presentation. Now we'll move to job training, and we've got one action item and one informational there. Nicole.
Thank you, Mr. Chair and Commissioners. I'm in front of you today with a couple of workforce development board applications, and I'm asking for permission to reappoint Shirley Barnes, who is President and CEO of Crestview Senior Communities, and appoint, due to a previous Alina representative transition, Brian LaPlante, who is a Director of Talent Acquisition with Alina Health. And he would represent the business representative on the Workforce Development Board for compliance with the Workforce Innovations and Opportunity Act, otherwise known as WIOA. As you know, with previous appointees, the Workforce Development Board provides the policy guidance and oversight for the workforce development services delivered throughout Anoka County Job Training Center and the Career Force here in Blaine, in partnership with the Anoka County Board of Commissioners. And board vacancies need to be filled to maintain the required board membership as defined in WIOA. So we have majority representation from private businesses, along with WIOA partners such as DEED with their job service office and vocational rehabilitation services, adult basic ed, Anoka Technical College, and others such as economic development. The WIOA program year runs from July through June of the following year, and the board term reflects this date with an end date sequence. So the vacancy Brian LaPlante is applying for, as I mentioned previously, was due to a vacancy of another employee who left Alina. And so based on board membership, we look at representation from Anoka County businesses, although Alina would be represented not only in the metro area, but throughout the state. Prior action, Shirley Barnes has been a previous board appointee and currently is our chair as well. And her last application was in 2019. So staff are recommending both applicants be approved for a 2-year term effective July 1st of 2021 through June 30th, 2023. And their board applications and nomination forms are attached as well. So that would conclude my presentation of these applications.
Mr. Chair.
All righty, we've got a motion by Commissioner West, and is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Meisner. Discussion. Commissioner Meisner.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. Just commentary. I mean, Shirley has been, well, she's been doing this position ever since I've been on the Workforce Development Board, and she is so dedicated and energetic about this. So I'm just glad that she applied. I think it said she wanted to do one more term. So I don't know if that means like this will be her last term or if she would just reapply again. But regardless, I'm very happy to see that she reapplied for this current term.
Okay, thank you. Are there any other comments, questions? If not, all in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
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 Those opposed? And that motion carries. And one more item that is informational under job training.
So thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the committee. So I'm excited. Today is August 16th and our career lab in Blaine is opening today, has opened today. So as you know, the career lab and career force locations across the state were closed. Ours was specifically closed March 18th, 2020 due to the COVID-19 pandemic, and since then have provided a variety of virtual services through the Job Training Center, through our website, which has an on-site application process, and certainly careerforcemn.us, which is the state's platform. So we have been excited about opening a couple of times and have put that to the back burner for a variety of reasons, but due to the fact that presently Anoka County still has about 17,000 individuals who are still receiving unemployment insurance, we anticipate there are thousands more that are underemployed and also that have left the job market either permanently or temporarily. And so with UI benefits, the extended benefits ending September 4th, it is anticipated that we should see increased numbers, or at least it's hoped. With the current pandemic variants uptick, along with still having childcare shortages and not sure what's still happening in some school districts starting in the fall, that could turn into a delay. But again, we're hopeful that to meet the employer needs, I mean, every single day, I'm getting calls from frustrated employers who are asking why we're not open, are asking why most businesses across the state are open, but the state offices aren't open. And certainly we are a state office, but we are a collaboration filled with a variety of partners. So today, the last I was downstairs around noon, we had seen, I would say, more of a trickle than a flood. But I was excited to see that, and individuals were very thankful of our staff. You can see in the write-up that we are open by appointment. Walk-ins will be scheduled. We have 10 computers that are spaced out, supporting social distancing, along with a variety of cleaning schedules along with that. Individuals are scheduled for 90-minute increments. The last downturn in the economy, we had 24 computers at that point. We opened another 24. We had standing room only. It was the craziest time of my work life next to this. So we'll have to see what happens. But again, combined right now with providing virtual services and then really starting that, I would say that phased opening to see what happens. Of course, you know that the Blaine Human Service Center opened August 2nd as well. So we know individuals are coming in and really are needing assistance. So wanted to provide this information to you. We're excited that we're going to continue to provide some online hiring events, but we do know that in the future, it probably will be a blend of virtual services along with in-person services. So thankful for our staff and our continued ability to pivot and turn and reinvent our services. And really, we're trying to meet the public that we serve, which are job seekers and then the businesses in our local community too. So wanted to provide you that update and thank our staff for their services.
All right, thank you. And the closing, I understand, and opening of career force is dictated by the state, correct? So that wasn't really a decision for us to open, even though people wanted it to be open, right?
So Mr. Chair, it's an interesting question, and the answer will probably be interesting as well. So yes, so DEED actually has right now not fully returned. They are providing 20 hours on site. Whereas we have been providing services then virtually, and obviously today is our staff that are providing it. So it was a group decision for the Workforce Development Board to reopen it today. The state would respond stating they didn't necessarily tell us to close, but and it wasn't their decision to reopen. However, in the past, when we were looking at opening dates, we were trying to do it as a collaboration.
Okay.
So,
Well, I think you're gonna have a busy September. That's just my prediction. Any questions? All right, well, hearing none, thank you for that information. And good luck with the reopening starting today and with September as the unemployment benefits expire. So we'll see what happens. We'll see what you look like a month from now. Okay, and then that ends our regular agenda.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
I would just like to tell Jonelle, you made Anoka County proud on the news, Channel 11, when you were being interviewed, what, 2 weeks ago? Yeah. I know it's kind of old, but
Yeah. Yeah, thank you.
I saw you.
I saw you.
So I was waiting to make the time.
And she had 2-hour notice. She did a good job.
No, you played it pretty cool, so very professional. All right, so next we have item number 7. It's routine and informational. If there's anything more that will be presented on that, we'll hear that now.
I don't, yeah. we don't
Anything,
need
any
to
highlights?
do that. Right. Yeah, these are just previous,
Okay,
yeah, these are just contracts.
Just thought I'd give it a
just
chance.
general renewals.
all righty. Well, then that completes our agenda for today, and we are adjourned.
Thank you, everyone.